Okay, so we're hearing these reports coming out of Beirut, right?
Mhm.
People on the ground are saying this is the most intense Israeli bombardment they've seen yet. Just picture this. You're scrolling through your Apple News, maybe, grabbing your coffee, and then, bam, that headline hits you.
It's true. It really grabs your attention, doesn't it? And think about it. Apple News is everywhere these days, right? Tons of people get their news that way.
Yeah, exactly. So for a story like this to be front and center, well, it's got to be big. But I think there's something else going on here, too. Like, how do we even begin to grasp what heaviest bombardment really means? I mean, these aren't just words on a screen. We're talking about real people in Beirut. Their lives are being turned upside down.
Absolutely. And, this isn't Beirut's first time dealing with conflict, unfortunately. But when you see reports using language like heaviest, it suggests things are escalating, becoming more severe than what we've seen before. That in itself should be a huge red flag for anyone trying to understand the situation.
For sure. And the way this news comes at us, it's not just some dry analysis, right? It's like the article itself is yelling at you, click here, read this now. It pulls you right into the immediacy of everything that's happening.
Yeah, and that kind of highlights the double-edged sword of how we consume news today. On one hand, we get these raw, first-hand accounts from the ground, sometimes even faster than official channels can manage. But, and this is a big but, it also means we're relying on information from individuals who are literally in incredibly dangerous situations, just trying to get the word out any way they can.
And that makes you think about the information itself, doesn't it? Like, even with the best intentions, if you're in the middle of all that chaos, your perception, your understanding of what's happening, it's got to be affected by that, right?
100%. Like, think about the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Remember when Saddam Hussein's statue was brought down?
Hmm.
At first, everyone thought it was this spontaneous thing. Turns out it was totally staged, heavily influenced by the U.S. military presence. And it reminds us, even things that seem straightforward, cut and dry, those things can get misinterpreted when things are intense, especially during conflicts.
It really underscores how crucial context is. Which actually brings me to something that's been bugging me about this Apple News article. It's like they stuck it in there at the very end, almost hidden. There's a mention of their privacy policy and their terms and conditions, and I can't help but wonder why there? Why now?
Because this goes way beyond just one article. It gets
Oh,
at the whole system of how we receive information, especially when it comes to global events. We're talking about the massive influence of tech giants like Apple, whether we realize it or not. They control the platforms, they decide what we see. And that's a lot of power. It's only natural to start asking some serious questions about how they're using it.
exactly. Like, are they responsible for fact-checking every single eyewitness report that gets posted? And how are they handling content that could be really graphic or disturbing? These are just technical questions. They directly impact how we understand what's really going on in a place like Beirut.
It's a lot to unpack. And to be honest, there aren't any easy answers. But simply acknowledging these questions, that's a start, right? That gets the conversation going.
It does. And so as we continue to rely on these fragments of information, these snapshots from a war zone, what does it actually mean for us? How do we as news consumers make sure that we're not just reading headlines, but really digging deeper? How do we grasp all the complexities of a situation like what's unfolding in Beirut? That's something I'm going to be thinking about a lot.